What's up, Clarence?
That was a rough one. That was a real rough one. Welcome everybody to Brown and Orange Weekly. I am your co-host Clarence Wilson, and joining me is my co-host James Elfritz. We might see Dean, we might not. We'll just see what happens. How you doing, brother?
I'm not doing too bad for a Monday after the Thanksgiving week that we had and the weekend of football that we witnessed here in Ohio. Watching Ohio State Buckeyes go down. I know there's a lot of Buckeye fans that listen that are Browns fans. I know you're not looking at two of them here that are the biggest Buckeye fans, but I'm not rooting against them. But, another rivalry, our Cleveland Browns. It's the rivalry that we hold on to from the 80s. Go into Mile High Stadium this Sunday and unfortunately do not come out with a victory. In fact, they probably have as many injuries as the amount of points as we scored on Sunday.
We're getting close. Yeah, Browns fall in it was a rough watch. Fall 29-12 to the Denver Broncos in Mile High Stadium, or Invesco Field at Mile High Stadium, or whatever that shitbox is called. I have nothing pleasant to say about Denver. You and I are old enough to remember that they kept us out of the Super Bowl in 3 out of 4 years, and have two of the absolute most heartbreaking Browns. They've given us two of the most heartbreaking Browns losses in the franchise's history. So let's get into it, man. Personally, I thought that the game plan for DTR was not good. They threw the ball a lot. And I see a lot of people say, oh, well, they didn't really start throwing the ball until after, they were down. No, that's not what happened at all. When they were down 17-12, right before DTR got knocked out, they had 29 passes to 15 runs, I believe, 14 or 15 runs to the running backs at that point. And that's with like a minute and a half, I believe, in the third quarter. Then that just god awful flip reverse that we'll get into later, and that pretty much spelled the end of the game. But I thought it was interesting how they came out and threw. I believe first quarter they had eight passes, one QB run, and two running back runs. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Rookie quarterback, third start, first on the road. This is not the way to get him into the game, I'd like to think. Because the passes weren't great. We obviously didn't score, anything on that in the first quarter. So what's your kind of overall sense of just the game plan? Because I thought it was kind of shit myself.
The game plan, I mean, and I know a lot of people are in an uproar when you call so many pass plays for, like you said, rookie quarterback on the road, and you have a great back system right now, as far as by committee, with Hunt and Ford and Pierre Strong, and you, like you said before, you want to see Strong get a few more carries and bust out, but hell, when you can't even give Jerome Ford more carries, whose average yesterday was really high.
7.2, 9 carries, 65 yards, 7.2 yards a carry.
Yeah, so how in the world do you not get him the ball more? I don't. To me, that is all about Kevin Stefanski. And, if you look at the Pittsburgh game and the way he called that and had that game plan and called plays for that, it was to protect DTR, but mainly to protect the football.
Mm-hmm.
His drops were short. It was just, find an open receiver, hit him. And yesterday, it's almost like you could have had that exact same game plan as you did Pittsburgh, and I think we could have pulled that one out. But he wanted to zig when Denver was going to zag, thinking that they're going to be up to stop the run. And regardless what defense they were in, our yards per carry were high. So What are we doing? Why are we overthinking it? In my mind, one of the comments I made in a group chat today We're talking about the game, and it was about, yes, we needed to run the football more. But I just don't understand why Stefanski has to outsmart himself and just not play to your strengths. And the comment I made is sometimes with Stefanski, I just need a ball coach. I need a ball coach to go, wow, that's working. Keep running it until they stop it. Whereas you get the Ivy League guy that comes out and thinks, you know what, they're just going to be up to stop the run. We're going to throw the ball more. And I get trying to catch him by surprise a little bit, but you didn't, maybe at the beginning, maybe on the first drive, something like that. But you got to go back to your strengths. And it just didn't play out that way the entire game. That's the thing that I didn't get. Why didn't he go back to his strengths when we scored a touchdown, DTR's first ever career touchdown pass? It's 14-12, and we're ready to go for 2. And unfortunately, Amari Cooper dropped that ball in the end zone. Was the pass a little low? Yeah, but where to hit him? Hit him in the hands. So, I just don't get where we couldn't just stick to a Pittsburgh type game plan. I'm not surprised that he got some stretched it out a little bit just to keep him honest.
Sure.
But not the majority of the time. Not 42 pass attempts yesterday? The hell was that?
29 by DTR, 14-29 for $134, 1 touchdown, 73.1 rating. And then after DTR got just absolutely just destroyed, on another scramble, running another pass play at that, 6 for 13 for PJ Walker goes 6 for 13 for 56 yards, but he took 4 sacks, a rating of 58.5. I'm trying to figure out why I've got people, and granted, this is social media, so everybody has an opinion, and 99% of them are wrong, just in my opinion. But I'm trying to figure out how people are trying to justify that this was a solid game plan after everything you just mentioned. On top of that, you know what, even when we were getting the passes, our guys are dropping stuff left and right. So at that point, isn't it time for you to get your running backs involved in this game a little bit more, and try and generate offense? Because on the best drive of the game they had, which was that third quarter drive, they came out and scored a touchdown. They ran the ball well and they passed the ball well. I believe the ratio was something like 7 passes to 5 runs or something like that. Mm-hmm. Something, pretty damn even, as opposed to what we kind of saw in the first half. Again, I think that first quarter was nothing but 2 runs and a bunch of passes. Everything else is a pass. So I'm trying to figure out, I guess, how and why he would call this particular game. Also going in versus the NFL's worst run defense. Why not try and shove it down their throat? Because we saw what happened when Ford got the ball. Second half, I think he popped off a run of like 19 and then another run for 11, just like that. So he got half his carries or half his yards almost on those 2 carries. Mm-hmm. So why are we not giving him the ball a lot more? I think he got the ball 4 times in the first half or 5 times in the first half. Give the man the ball against the worst run defense. I'll keep saying it, the worst run defense. But no, we're going to go out there and we're going to throw the ball all over the damn field. I thought that, and I've been a big, big critic of Stefanski for doing similar stuff like this going back the last couple seasons. I kind of thought we had turned a corner these last 4 games because he called some pretty damn good games across the board. That's between Watson and PJ and DTR. Mm-hmm. I thought he called, some pretty solid games. But yesterday, it was like he regressed. He regressed. It was kind of like we kind of talked about earlier. It's that old Baker Mayfield meme, where it's the Baker Mayfield cycle. It's play shitty against a team. Everybody tell him that, he's terrible and everything else. He plays better. Everybody gets off his back, and then the cycle starts all over again.
Mhm.
I didn't think we were there, but this kind of thing makes me be like, all right, what? Why did all of a sudden we decide to toss the ball around with this rookie QB first road start against the worst rushing defense in the NFL? It defies logic to me. And the Browns, even through all of that, the Browns were still in the game, with about a minute and a half left in the third quarter. DTR gets hurt running like, I gotta say it, like when he was running like that, I was like, he's gonna get killed. Like, this is not UCLA. This is the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And you scramble like that, you're gonna get popped. Well, he got popped. He did make some good throws yesterday, I will say, but he got popped. They bring in PJ. And I believe at that point it was what, 3rd and 1 or something like that. It was a first down because they had the roughing the passer penalty. The very next play, they call this reverse. Okay. I think the reverse is a shit play call. But if the reverse was just them, the double reverse or whatever it was, if they had just turned and the handoff was a simple, I'm going to put it in your belly like we do every time, not the flip, but a handoff, maybe that play is maybe a tad bit more successful, but their DT was in the backfield already as is, so who knows. But I just thought in that situation, calling not a simple handoff, but a flip handoff to Pierre Strong, who ain't touched the ball all damn day yesterday. Not once until that moment did he touch the ball. And you call it then fumble, Denver recovery, touchdown, game is over at that point. So I'm wondering, and I want to get your opinion, like, are we going to see this often? Is he going to be in this, he's going to call, 3 or 4 good games, and then he's going to regress for a game? Or it just is something that even though we've seen a lot of this before, is this something that we can, not look forward to seeing very often anymore?
I think let's start at the top. So Stefanski right now, for what he's did, the team's at 7-4. For what he's did with this team as a body of work, I think we can not be at the very beginning of the season where we were all like, this guy's on the hot seat. I think that's done. I think let's clear that up first. Are we in agreement that he's back next year? And I'm not saying they're going to sign him an extension in the end in the offseason, but I think it's safe to say he's coming back next year, correct?
Everybody can agree.
Yeah, I think everybody can get off his back on that. He's our football coach, and he's in year 4, and he's still growing. And I really think and this goes with any coach. Every coach has a little bit of an ego, right? Some have bigger ones than others. And I think this is one of those situations where his ego, not saying he's necessarily trying to flex, or this is what I said. He was I think he outsmarted himself yesterday, where he's got that piss poor run defense in front of him. You're on the road, rookie quarterback, and he didn't attack it. He should have ate that alive. We should have been complaining like hell. When's he going to throw the ball?
Mm-hmm.
Like I could have seen us running, and I know it's the NFL, but I could have seen us being like Michigan at Penn State this year in the second half, where they just ran the ball every time.
Mm-hmm.
Run it till you stop. I mean, look at your yards per carry. It was there. It was there for the taking, and he ignored it. And it's not because Denver forced his hand. He went that direction completely on his own.
From the beginning of the game. From the beginning of the game.
He went right off script from what was successful against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And when I say successful, we won. Now, we only scored 13 points.
Yeah.
I know we need to score more. You know what our road average for point totals was, a 25 or whatever I said, I think, last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he knew he's going to, 13 is not going to make it in this game. But so why not do that later in the game, though? Let him get lathered up. Let him get used to the crowd. Let him get used to the thin air up there. Get some runs. I just don't understand that. To me, that's Stefanski's biggest thing that you can give him criticism for. the negative criticism is that he just outsmarts himself sometimes, and I don't get it. And it seems like that 500 record that he's trying to get away from. And yes, he's a few games of over 500 in his career as a head coach. It just seems like it keeps pulling him back in, but I think he's putting himself in that position.
Agreed.
And I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. I think he's a good coach. I think they're playing hard for him. But these are the times where you look back and just go, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't. One of the popular refrains that we've heard, not just this year, but even Baker's final season here, last year and this year is, oh well, they're stacking the box, and so in that reason you got to throw. Excuse my French. I don't give a shit. They weren't stacking the box against Walter Payton. They weren't stacking the box against Ricky Williams. They weren't stacking the box against Emmitt Smith. They weren't stacking the box against Barry Sanders. All these great running backs. Now, granted, we don't have one of these great running backs, but teams stack the box when they know you want to try and run the ball, and teams somehow figure out a way to win. Mm-hmm. So stacking the box is not an excuse for me any longer, especially since he's had 3 years to deal with it. Towards the end of Baker's career here in Cleveland, I remember the Green Bay game, and they're like, oh, he's stacking the box, so he's got to throw it. So you got Nick Chubb. If you can't figure out how to get your best playmaker the ball and they're stacking the box, then that's a coaching problem. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to hear a damn thing again about stacking the box, because throughout the history of the NFL, boxes have been stacked against great running teams, and somehow they figure out a way to do it. So yeah. I don't know.
But don't get me wrong. If you do, I think you're with me on this, though. If you stack the box and they're stopping the run,
mm-hmm.
then yeah, you have to make your adjustment.
Yes.
You don't want the defense to necessarily dictate what you do on offense, but
yeah,
how many times you hear Russ Wilson at the line yesterday audibling out of a play because he was trying to look at our defensive set. And that was my concern all week, is that we're going on the road after 2 huge wins in the division, which were fantastic against John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin. Those are huge wins. And then to go on the road and try to, on Thanksgiving week of all weeks, to keep your level of play high, it was going to be tough. It was going to definitely be a challenge. But what we did to ourselves, I think, is what bothers people more than anything in that loss. It's not that we lost, it's how we lost.
Exactly. I kind of feel like the game was there for the taking. It really was. I feel if they call a few different plays early a little bit different, then maybe things change, because again, they were down 14-0 before they ran the ball 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. So, and they had, I think, 10 passes at that point. So I feel like if you mix it up a little bit, because again, and that's the one drive they look good in the second half, the one drive where they drove down for a touchdown, it was balanced. But we didn't see that in the first half, and that's on Stefanski, and I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that we're talking about the same stuff. I thought we had went over this bridge now, and he was going to be the coach that we saw the last 4 games, who was decisive, who was calling good game plans, who was putting his players in the best possible position for them to win and to be successful, aces in places. But yesterday was just a straight regression. And it's bad, because I'm sitting there like, we're throwing the ball on first down all the time. Why are we not even trying to get the ball to a running back? Mm-hmm. People like, oh, you can't just go run, pass. I get that. But why don't you try running it 2 times in a row on first and second down? So then maybe you're dealing with a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 2, as opposed to trying to throw on first down, incomplete. You get a 3-yard run on second down. So then you're sitting at 3rd and 7. And I feel like they got put in those kind of positions a lot yesterday. I don't know. I I shudder to think like what we are going to see next week. Only because number one, we're not, DTR unless he clears concussion protocol. We're looking at PJ again, and I've tried to stay positive about PJ. He just ain't it.
Yeah. No, and I think he knows it too.
Yeah.
And you look at yesterday too. Let's take this shot at Stefanski real quick.
Good.
3 turnovers, 2 of those. The first one, I don't want to call it a gadget play, but then you got Harrison Bryant lining up under center, which is not normal. It's not your quarterback, so you're sticking your tight end under there. Fumbles the ball on 4th and 1, and there's your turnover.
Mm-hmm.
Denver recovered. Whether we didn't get it or not, we didn't have the opportunity because here we are again trying to be cute. How many times did you hear that on the telecast? Which, by the way, we could speak a whole length of a podcast talking about how bad the guys were at Fox.
They were awful. Sanchez was terrible.
Mark Sanchez is absolutely horrible, and I don't understand. Although by second half, he was starting to make sense with questioning Stefanski and like, what the hell's he doing?
He sounded like us.
Yeah. So, but still, yeah, that broadcast was horrible. I don't understand why we got to have Harrison Bryant take that. I mean, what is he supposed to be? The Jacoby Brissett, just stick another big body back there, take that snap and dive forward. It didn't work. I'm not saying it's the only time he's did it, right? Because he's ran that play before during the season, but
yeah,
once again, it's just another different thing that we got to do. And then the second turnover on the reverse play and just tossing the ball in the air. It's sloppy. Here we go again. Turnovers. And what are we doing on offense? It's just so frustrating to watch.
And with that Harrison Bryant play, like you said, they've run that play before and it's been successful. But kind of going back to what you said, it's like, why do we have these plays? Like, for example, so last year we had Jacoby Brissett play the first 11 games of the season. At no point did we bring in Josh Dobbs to try and give a change of pace as a running quarterback or anything like that. Not once, because we know Jacoby, he's not a runner. So they didn't try and do any kind of wildcat or anything like that. But then when Watson returns for the last 6 games, all of a sudden he's putting in Brissett to run quarterback sneaks and dumb shit like that. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating because it's like I see what you're trying to do, but sometimes it's just easy to line up and just go head to head, run the damn ball.
Yeah.
Like instead of trying to be all sly, again, it's work with Harrison Bryant, but how many snaps a week do you think that they practice at? I don't know.
I don't even want to know. I don't want to care. Like
exactly.
It's not like, did you ever see Belichick put Gronkowski back there for 4th and 1s for Tom Brady for a play?
No.
I just don't need it. I don't need it. If you're going to run DTR, regular run called plays for your quarterback that you're trying to protect, then you sure as shit can run him forward for a yard.
Yes.
That's what I don't get. I understand he's light and he's thin, but I don't understand. If you can't get it, you can't get it.
No.
The quarterback should be out there and be able to do that.
100% agree, man. Well, it wasn't all on Stefanski, as we said. There was a lot of drops. And Njoku came back with just some serious, just bad drops yesterday. Looked like he did a few years ago. Amari with the 2-point conversion drop, which I got to say, honestly, maybe I'm old school, but when it was 14-12, at that point, I'm kicking the extra point because then I'm still in the game. Like, if they can score another touchdown and it's still a 1-possession game at that point. I understand why they did it. I understand all the metrics and the analytics behind it. I get it. But I'm just the kind of guy who's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to kick this extra point. So that means they can go down and score a touchdown, and I'm still only in a one possession game no matter what. And especially with the way my defense is playing, I'd rather be in a one possession game than them going down and scoring and it being 9 points and you being in a two possession.
Right.
But you had that play, the drops. I got to ask you about the defense, man. I know that Ward didn't play yesterday. I think Smith went down. But the run defense just looked pathetic at points yesterday. And it reminded me a lot of last year. And again, this was another problem that I thought we had solved. But, when Samuel Pirine or whatever the hell his name is doing whatever the hell he wants to do against our front four, which I thought was pretty well. Pirine and 7 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown. Williams, 18 carries for 65 yards. And then we didn't have any kind of answer for Russ scrambling. Like that's what really killed us in the second half. We couldn't stop him from scrambling on just keeping their drives alive. So what's your kind of thoughts on the defense and what's going on with them?
Well, think of the success Baltimore had on us running the football in both games.
Mm-hmm.
We lost 28-3 the first game at home, and then we go in and even in the Baltimore game we give up at Baltimore. 31 points. Right, so on the road for some reason, I don't know if it just happens to be who we're playing against, and that's the game plan, but the way you slow our pass rush down is to try to run at that defense.
Yeah.
And, they outrushed us 169 to 107. That's pathetic. And that's literally effort on play calls. I remember there was a period, I think it was right at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and Denver had the ball, and I still saw the stat. It was popping up at the bottom right-hand corner. It showed Russ Wilson only had 100 yards passing.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was killing us.
No, not at all.
Statistically. But when he needed it, he'd get it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he took off on a smart run, just pick up the yards, pick up the first down, move the chain. And that's the difference when you got on the other sideline, you got a Super Bowl winning head coach and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. They're probably not going to beat themselves. And Stefanski walked right into that yesterday. Walked right into beating him, outsmarting himself. Think I'm going to throw when I need to run, and it's just unfortunate, man. And Njoku, I believe, leads the league in drops at 9. And I did, I was listening on the way driving today from work. I know there was one guy that called in and mentioned that the DTR's ball from the draft combine was one of the hardest thrown balls up there, just under like Josh Allen in recent draft combines. So like I had mentioned, you can just see it. I don't even know what is miles per hour because it's not like baseball, but like you can see his ball. It's a dart, man. It's throwing hard.
Yeah, he fires rockets.
How can receivers go back and tell hey, could you take a little, could you throw me a curve instead of a fastball? You can't do that. You can't ask him to take something off of it. Can you imagine if those guys were out there with Brett Favre, the way Brett Favre? Remember hearing the story about Brett Favre splitting one of his receivers' hands?
Yep.
From throwing the ball so hard. So, but he never took steam off of it. Not because his guys couldn't catch it. It's because if he was putting a little touch on the pass, sure.
Yeah.
That's our guys. We need to adjust.
Agreed. It reminds me of I think we kind of talked about last week how Baker just had one speed almost. It was just, I'm going to fire this rocket right into you, and you got to catch it. Now DTR did have a couple of decent touch passes yesterday, but yeah, most of the stuff he's bringing it's just straight flamethrower. He's just gunning that in there, and it's I don't know. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe Njoku is just not able to handle that kind of ball. I don't know, but our margin for error is so tiny right now that we can't afford drops, can't afford fumbles, can't afford not that we have to play perfect, but on offense we need to play a fairly flawless game to put our defense in the best spot and to have our chance to win, honestly. Because if this was just Denver, and yeah, they're hot right now, but I don't see them as any kind of Super Bowl threat or anything like that.
No.
So, what happens when we play Jacksonville and teams that actually are legitimate threats? Like, is it going to be rough? I mean, we've got Jacksonville, we've got Houston coming up. The end of the game, I looked at it, 3 weeks ago, and I was like, man, that Steeler game really could mean something. But you know what? The way it's looking right now, they're not going to be anywhere near the playoffs, so we don't really have to worry about them. But I guess I'm kind of concerned because we know that we're not going to see Watson, Chubb, either of our tackles, Willis or Conklin. That's just on the offensive side. Cooper is dinged up. Hopefully he can get back. But guys there, it's kind of hard for me to sit there and say, all right, you know what? If this is what our offense is going to look like, this is going to be a slow go. Not to mention the defensive injuries. Like, as we said, Ward didn't play, and then Miles, but most recent report says he's day to day, which doesn't really make me feel much better, but it is what it is.
I mean, I guess it's disappointing. You're talking about, who upcoming games. And here we are again. It's, the year Kevin won Coach of the Year. He had 2 4-game win streaks in that season, 2020. This would have been a 4-game win streak, which would have been very helpful. Unfortunately, I'm looking at the schedule now, and I hate to look at it. First of all, the one thing I hate the most about the people, us fans, podcasters, sportscasters, and so many people do it, it's the whole schedule game and what are we going to finish before the even preseason starts or training camp starts. You want to talk about the biggest waste of time in your life? Stop doing that because it's not doing any good. It's not going to help. We can't even predict week to week during the season. So why the hell would anybody pick anything at the preseason? I know everybody gets excited for the NFL and you start looking, thinking we can do it. But now I'm looking at the schedule just for next week, the Rams. Does it matter if we're playing the Rams or not? Because when you have a quarterback situation that you have where you're just fighting to get to 20 points every week, because that's what we're looking at the rest of the week or the rest of the year. It doesn't matter, honestly, from the Rams, the Jags, the Bears, the Texans, the Jets, who think they're getting Aaron Rodgers back. I don't care. Even with the Bengals will be halfway on vacation the last week of the season, but it doesn't matter because we're still battling just to get 20 points.
Yep.
It's going to be like that every week. It's going to be us against ourselves as much as anything that we play and anybody that we play on the schedule. And that's the worst part about it. We're going to be constantly looking, and that's why when we signed Joe Flacco, I still felt, regardless of DTR, and you're talking about for this week with the concussion protocol, I believe Brock Purdy is the only one that went into a week that was in concussion protocol that actually made it through the other end and actually started that Sunday. So you can pretty much rule out DTR this week. I know they'll be practicing at his former school at UCLA, and maybe they got some kind of Mr. Miyagi shit, and they can put him back together this week so he can start. But hell, even if he starts, you're only going to get 100 and whatever yards passing. Is that enough? It's not. It doesn't appear to be enough. Sure, I looked at the box score, and yet Russell Wilson had 134 yards passing, and he still won. QBR of 97. That's disgusting stats in today's football.
Yeah.
But they still beat us.
He made the right plays at the right times.
Yep. And that's what I'm saying. We want to go back to a vet. We're going to have Joe Flacco. I'm telling you, he's going to start. I'm not saying it's going to be Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco, but at least we got some experience back there that's going to be able to help us out. Will he see time this week? The question is, will he see time with any reps with the first team offense this week? I don't know how it happens, Clarence. I still probably thinking we're another week off. Yes, he's on the active roster. Yes, he's the backup quarterback probably going into Sunday. Well, he has to be, right? Because we only got 3.
Yeah.
So he's got to be our number 2. What other quarterbacks are they going to assign to the practice squad? Because whoever they sign, they better be ready.
Yeah.
You better, as many quarterbacks as we're going to go through. Wouldn't that be great? I wonder what, with all the struggles we've had since '99, what is the most amount of quarterbacks we actually started in the season? And I want to know if we would, how close we're going to get to that this year.
Or
And
what
yes,
about
we still make the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's the wild thing. Before we get to Flacco, really quickly, I do want to mention one positive because the way we're talking, there was nothing positive about yesterday, and I mean the score and the way things kind of played, there really wasn't. But I do want to kind of bring up JOK. He balled yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
12 total tackles, 2 for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble. That punch out forced fumble first half. That was awesome. Maybe one of the better games I've seen him play. But then I have to go, because I'm looking at it, then I have to go to the negative of Greg Newsome, who looked like garbage yesterday. I shouldn't say garbage. He just did not look good yesterday. He was a guy who, in the offseason, there was these rumors around, like he said he didn't want to play in the slot. He wanted to play on the outside and everything else. Well, he got a chance to play on the outside yesterday.
Yes, he did.
And I saw him chasing a lot of guys with the ball in their hands. So,
you know who I thought about yesterday when I saw him out there? The player that Buster screened.
Buster screen.
Buster was a nice slot cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got him outside, he'd struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
But Buster Screen, man, I liked him. I
always like some Buster Screen.
Absolutely. But no, I mean, I agree with you. Newsome on the outside. You can see why Schwartz and them, they wanted to play him on the inside, play him as a slot because he's a stronger slot corner than he is on the outside. And it's no different than looking at, as much as Amari Cooper's did as a wide receiver and what he does and means to this offense. To me, he's still it's the equivalent of seeing Newsome play like the number 1 corner spot and Amari being a number 1 corner or number 1 receiver. Yeah. Although you're getting more production out of Amari would be an awesome number 2.
Yeah.
If he had alongside that number 1.
True.
So I definitely commend him for what he's doing for our team as a 1. But man, just imagine him as a 2.
Yeah.
How much stronger he would be. And that's the same thing with Newsome. If you can keep Newsome inside at that slot, unfortunately, injuries didn't allow. He's a better football player there.
Agreed. So you got him up. We got a few more minutes left here. You say Flacco is. You think he's a week away?
I don't know that we see him this week.
I'm not really sure. Can I say this? I'm not sure that and I kind of brought up this last week how, and especially after watching yesterday, DTR and PJ, fairly mobile guys. They can get around. They can avoid some of the pressure that teams bring. They might not avoid every sack, but you know what? They might avoid that first one and kind of step up and try and do something. With Flacco, we're not going to get any of that. When both our tackles being down, and just kind of the way I saw PJ just get crushed yesterday a few times, does that worry you at all? That we're going from to actually our entire quarterback room was fairly mobile guys between Watson, DTR, and PJ, and even Dobbs before that. Fairly mobile guys, and we're going to a standstill pocket passer with both our tackles being out. Does that worry you?
We've talked off the pod that I know you're more worried about it than I am, but for me, with his veteran leadership and experience, he can read those defenses better, in my opinion, and he can get rid of the ball and hit his hot receivers better, in my opinion. But also, it's on Stefanski to adjust his playbook. It's not like he didn't, have that same playbook that he was working in Minnesota and working with Kirk Cousins. And I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is a complete statue.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Deshaun Watson. So what I remember a lot from seeing those days is that you would have Kirk Cousins with the play action pass. It was almost like a stretch run, and then you'd curl back and be able to get rid of the football on the play action.
Yeah.
I don't see enough of those plays with our team. It seems like, fake the run and then just, all right, let's get ready to throw instead of like the bootleg type.
Yeah.
Get him out. In other words, get him out in space. So I don't know. To me, it's on Stefanski to do that, to protect the quarterback. It's on the quarterback to protect themselves in some aspects. I don't know. Are we going to see that there's just more weakness on that offensive line than we think? I don't know, man. After that Steelers game, I thought we did pretty well. But then again, DTR was only dropping back less than 4 yards. So
yeah,
Flacco, you're not going to have those restrictions.
And I also feel like with the Steeler game as well. I mean, it was like looking in a mirror. They didn't have a quarterback, and Pickett. We are using our backup quarterback. It was a defensive battle. Whereas, again, next week we'll see Stafford, and he's, I'm not a huge Stafford guy, but he's an NFL quarterback who's been doing it for a long time. So is he going to be able to expose us in areas which it concerns me? And I almost want to see Flacco at this point. Like, he may as well. I'd like to think that the injury to DTR and him not getting out of concussion protocol is going to kind of put a rush on everything to get Flacco in and involved. But at this point, like, I don't know, man. We're 7-4, and this is Hoyer 7-4. Like, this is this isn't like I feel confident going forward with what we have, because I'll say I don't really care. The minute that they chose to make a rookie the backup QB, that pretty much put this entire season in Deshaun Watson's hands. So week 1, we see Deshaun Watson against Cincinnati, but then week 2, Chubb goes down. So now that we don't have Watson and we don't have a Chubb to even lean on for a rookie QB, I'm almost just kind of like, you know what? I think we're teetering on lost season right now. I feel like we have a chance, but this offense it's not doing it for me right now. And I don't know what I'm going to see every week. I won't be shocked if Flacco plays next week, and this man ain't played since last year, and Stefanski goes out there and decides to throw the ball 45 damn times. Like, we don't know what we're going to see each week, so I'm nervous about the rest of the season. I'm not going to lie.
You should be, because here it is once again. We're going in Sunday, another 4:00 game. We're staying out on the West Coast all week. We've went from Denver to working out at UCLA all week, so we're not even coming back to Cleveland. And you're going into a stadium that has a Super Bowl winning coach and a Super Bowl winning quarterback with the Super Bowl MVP in Cooper Kupp. So you're going to be. I don't know what the point spread is. I usually don't pay attention to that, but we weren't favored in Denver, which I'm not suspect. It was like a 1.5 point spread, I think we were getting. But yeah, with the Rams, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, what are we going to do on offense? Can the defense hold up on the road? Because we've been giving up over 20-some points a game. We're going to have to find out what football team gets on that plane each week. And I don't understand the inconsistency of that. I don't think it's coaching, Clarence. Is our home field advantage so good now that that's the difference maker? I mean, if it is, great, but guys, you got to pack that in a suitcase and take it on the road with you too.
Yep.
You have to.
Spread is Rams giving 3. So
Yeah.
Rams
And
minus
I'm
3.
surprised it's not more.
This was yesterday, so this is the first one I saw.
Yeah.
So who knows? After the loss of DTR and our quarterbacks situation really being up in the air, I wouldn't be surprised to see it jump.
It's going to jump as soon as they announce PJ as a starter.
Yeah.
Almost guarantee that. So, if you want to look at this week and you want to talk a little bit, hey, how are we going to finish with the Rams? Just same concerns as last week. I don't know. If we win, it's going to have to be low scoring, win the turnover battle, win ugly, until Flacco can get settled into this offense. If we see him this week off the bench, be concerned. Because
you already know I'm concerned to begin with. So
yeah. We better sign Nick Foles to the practice squad. Just keep those ex-Super Bowl MVP quarterbacks lined up and have them ready to go, because we're probably going to go. Is Flacco going to be our last starter for the season? We're going to have one more. I hope not. I hope Joe's our answer.
We're 7-4. It's not supposed to be like this, James.
When it's the quarterback position, it matters. So we got to get 3 more wins. That's what everybody says. The race to 10. If we can get to 10, we can make the playoffs. But is it just about making the playoffs?
I don't want to make the playoffs to go in there and get mollywopped.
Go to Miami and get 70 put up on us?
Yeah. I'm not like – and we don't have weeks to bounce back like Denver did. Like, you get 70 plays on us. It's the last taste we have in our mouth till September next year. So, yeah, I don't
and shame on us for not even talking about Myles Garrett yet.
Well, we said Miles he's injured.
Right.
Day to day. If he goes down, you can officially well, I don't want to say it's a season over, but damn, man, like, again, we're looking at just from our opening day lineup, just the people that have been hurt. It's been all our damn stars. Everybody. And like I said, we'll see what happens with Coop. And since Miles is day to day, we won't know anything about him until Friday at best.
Right.
So, we could be going into starting next week with a starting backfield of Flacco at QB or PJ. Ford, who ran well yesterday when they gave him the damn ball. But Ford, he's still a backup running back, and Kareem Hunt, who we signed when Chubb got hurt. Our receivers on the outside could be Moore and why is his name escaping me? Moore and
Cedric Tillman.
Yeah, he played all right yesterday. I mean, he's still not what I want. I did see something about firing the wide receivers coach because it's Browns and this is the way. But they did have a point, like they AB has drafted all these receivers and none of them have developed into anything. So, but yeah, you have Tillman, Moore, and maybe Bell. I don't know. Like, it just our tackles are shot.
Bell don't even have a catch.
No.
I think the only catch he had yesterday, I think, was when DTR was running towards the sideline. He kind of reached out and grabbed him and held him up so he didn't fall down. That's about as close as he got to the football yesterday.
I was not a big fan of Bell coming out. He was deemed as a bigger, taller Jarvis is kind of what people said. He's got great hands, but I was like, you played wide receiver at Purdue, dog. Like, yeah, just because you're big, I want big and fast. I just don't want big and good hands. But that's just, I don't know. I'm getting mad. I'm getting even madder just thinking about this because where we're at, like September 10th to now, we're 7-4. But the guys who really helped us get there, a lot of them have a good chance of not even playing on Sunday. So, I don't know, man. I'm just
Dustin Hopkins 2 for 2.
he's been the shining light.
Yeah.
He's been the absolute shining light. All right, man. Is there anything else you want to tell these people?
Yeah, Borges had a set long of 72 yards.
I did see that. But
he should in that thin air.
I'm
trying to leave on a positive note here.
Give me strength.
We'll see, man. All I know is when we have our next record, it just my gut, guys. It's just all of the people that listen to us. It just feels the same. It feels like the struggle is going to be real all day Sunday, and for the life of me, please can we get a lead on the road? Can we at least give our quarterback a chance? Can we run the football?
How about 5 runs in the first quarter? Can we just start there? Let's just start there. 5 runs in the first quarter, and you know what? Okay, I can kind of get down with that. But the whole bullshit of we're going to come out and throw the ball all over the field. Don't do that. Don't do that because I swear I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose it, and I'm going to go back. I stopped letting the Browns affect my Sundays like they used to, but
it's back.
They're going to bring me back. They're going to bring me back. No. Anything else you want to tell the people before we get out of here?
Man, all you football fans here in Northeast Ohio that listen, going to be out covering the game Thursday night down at Tom Benson Stadium in Canton. Division II state championship between Akron, Hoban, and Massillon. Massillon going for their first state title since 1970. So big game Thursday night here in Stark County. Big games all weekend. Friday night, St. Ed's will be playing. Saturday, the nightcap is Cleveland Glenville going for also their back-to-back state championships. So lots of good high school football. Come down, check it out. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Lucas and I will be out from Beliefs representing Believe Land Media on Thursday. Friday, I'll be out with Derek Dimmitt, Believe Land Media represent. Look for us on the sideline. Check us out on Believe Land Media social media. We'll be putting out in-game tweets, highlights, halftime comments, and then also post-game stuff. So check all the videos out. We look forward to covering these games. We'll be freezing our ass off, but it'll be worth it because it's football.
Are you covering Eds in Springfield?
I will be, yes. Friday night. That's the Friday night game.
Okay. Yeah, full disclosure, I grew up in the Springfield area, and that's the old Springfield North and Springfield South. Those two schools combined. And I said this in high school in the 90s. I said, if those two schools ever combine, they're going to be a force in football for forever, pretty much. And you see the last few years, Springfield's been there. So, I live close to Eds, but, I was raised part of my life in Springfield. So I might have to come down and,
come down.
That. For sure. All I got to say is my normal go Browns. Everyone, please just be nice to each other, be kind to each other. You don't know what anybody else is going through. And yeah, man. Let's get ready to watch whatever the hell it is gonna unfold on Sunday, because it is an absolute crapshoot as to what we're gonna see.
Yeah, and just remember, as we all put our opinions out there on X, that we're all just as wrong as everybody else.
Not me.
Yeah, if we all look back at our tweets, maybe not you. But, there's a lot of wrong out there. There's a lot of you think and I try not to fall in that trap. But once again, the struggle is going to be real Sunday, so buckle up until we get some settling at that quarterback position, and in Joe we trust.
Yep. Oh man. All right. Well, as usual, you guys know the routine. In the words of that great man, the greatest 8-game offensive coordinator the Browns have ever seen, Freddie Kitchens. If you don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter. Peace, y'all.
See ya.